Hello, my dear friends. This is Rabbi Aharon Dobinsky coming to you today from the holy city of Jerusalem, Israel. Hope you had a great week last week. Hope you enjoyed last week's shiur. I got something special for you this week, something you really want to take notice of. Last week I was out getting a pizza with my Rebbe, and I'm standing there waiting for it because at the time, they still hadn't opened up this particular restaurant, so you had to wait and find a place to sit and all this other happy stuff. Ridiculous, but anyway. So I waited, and I'm standing there, and a young man comes up, probably in his early 20s, and got a kippah on, so I know he's Jewish, which most people in Israel are. And he's kind of talking to the person who's taking the orders and about how he's going home to America next week in a couple of days. And I said to him, couldn't help it over here. Why would you want to go back to America? He said, well, America's my home. I have a job there. I have a house there. I said, well, okay. I know you understand the fact that in Israel, we also have jobs and we also have houses. And this is your home because you're a Jew. And let's face it, if history has taught us anything, it's the fact that we don't know where our home is because our home is only really in one place. It's here in Israel. In Germany, when everything fell apart and they went after the Jews, Jews who were living there, some of them were ex-army officers saying, well, I'm from the army, they're not coming after me. And they said, well, that's such a genteel country. I'm sure we've misunderstood what's happening. And yet they did. They did come after them. And so people are going, well, that could never happen in America. Well, tell you what, folks, the people in Germany said it could never happen in Germany, but it did. Now, I'm not saying it's the government necessarily. I'm just saying that if you look at the statistics in America, the rate of anti-Semitic problems outstrips the number of problems with people of color, who far outstrip in numbers people who are Jewish, okay? That should tell you something. People are coming after the Jews again. Not everybody. I don't put this on everybody. I tell you this because it's important to understand where you are and what's happening with where you are. So I told this young man, think about staying here because this is your home. And a day will come when you will have to come back to your home. The sooner you come back here, the easier it's liable to be on you. So consider that before you go back, or if you do have to go back, consider coming back extremely soon, okay? He says, well, that'd be a big step back. I said, well, a big step back for you, but you think it's a big step back. It's actually a big step forward. But let's take what you said first. Let's assume it's a big step back. Have you ever watched somebody shoot a bow and arrow? I said, sure. I said, well, let me think about this. I want you to think about what happens. They take the arrow, they put it in the bow, and what do? They push it forward to the target, right? So no, of course not. They pull back on it. I said, You see, sometimes you have to pull back before you go forward. And it's important to remember that. That's a necessary step sometimes. So make sure that what you are doing is taking where you want to go. Over the last week, we had instruction on how to build a Mishkan. I'm telling you, these instructions were so technical and they were so detailed. And before this, we had instructions on how to clothe the Kohanim, particularly the Kohen Gadol. Again, in tremendous, tremendous detail. Does this give you a hint as to how Hashem works? Because it should. This is how he works. He gives you details. He lets you know exactly what he wants, which is why when people come to me and they say to me, Rabbi, I have a question for you. I'm sure Hashem wouldn't mind if I ... And I can guarantee you, in most cases, oh yes, he would mind if you did that. And I would always say to them the same thing. Let me ask you, there are 613 mitzvos. Which is the most important? And I usually get a very puzzled look because who knows? Do you know? I don't know. Do you know? Does he know? Do they know? Who knows what is the most important mitzvah to do? What you think may be the most important may be not the most important. And what you think is inconsequential, that may be the most important. That's why it's important that we absorb the details on these things. We do what we're supposed to do because This is the instructions that Hashem gave us. I had somebody ask me last week, why do we keep kosher and is it important? Why do we keep kosher? Because it's halacha. Because it is the law. It was given to us on Sinai to Moshe Rabbeinu, both in written law and in oral law. And it tells us what we can eat, how we can prepare it, what we have to do. It goes into great detail on all these things. And when you get into rules of kashrus, there are other books which give you even more details, all for the rabbis, all based on what we were given. They are just giving us the details, because the details are important. You don't get lost in the details. The details are what give you the way to do what it is you're supposed to do, what we're all supposed to do. It doesn't change. It's not different for me than for you. We all have the same rules. And it's given to us in great detail. You know, we're told about a story where the children of Israel were told while they were in the desert to go attack someplace. And they hesitated. And Hashem was not happy about this. And he let that be known. And so they decided, okay, we're going to go attack now. And Moses said, don't do it because Hashem is not with you. How did he know? How did he know? Because he was Moshe Rabbeinu. That's how he knew. He said, don't go. Hashem is not with you. And they didn't listen to him. And they went anyway. And it was not a pretty picture. They got beaten very, very badly. See, we are told the things we are told for a reason. Do we know the reason? No, we do not always know the reason. We have things that are called chukos. They are laws that for whatever reason or whatever we need to do. And there doesn't seem to be anything logical about it. We talked about the parah aduma recently. Do you know the parah aduma, when it's slaughtered and it's burned, the ashes are gathered, they're put in water, and this water is used to purify people from different things, from being close to a dead body, etc. Okay? Now, here's something you maybe didn't know. The person who burns this parah aduma, he becomes tameh. He becomes impure. The person who gathers up the ashes, he becomes impure. And there are rituals and laws that say what they have to do in order to get pure again. But think about it. This is something that makes you pure, but if you're part of the one who's putting it all together, you're impure. Does that make sense to you? Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to centuries and centuries of Rabbiim, to different rabbis. They look at this and they go, why? And the answer is, we don't know, because Hashem said so. That's why. And that's the reason we do what we do, because Hashem said so. We don't know what is the greatest mitzvah to do. For all we know, the greatest mitzvah is Lashon Hara. If you follow the Chofetz Chaim, he's written books on it, on how do you take care of Lashon Hara, which is bad tongue. Lashon Hara. Lashon is your tongue. Hara is evil. And this is one of the worst things that you can do. Because let me tell you something, just to be selfish about it, that if you do Lashon Hara on somebody, that all the good you did for that day goes to them. And it's taken away from you. Everything you work so hard to do, keeping kashrus, saying good prayers in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, the way you dress, all the myriad of things that you do are taken away. Your merit for them goes away and goes to this person that you talked bad about. So to be just selfish, it's important that you don't do it. It's one of the major things. We think so much about kashrus. It's, I can't eat that because it wouldn't be kosher. I have to have this hechsher, not that hechsher. I need to be this high and not that high. And I have to do this and I have to do that. We're so careful about it. And we don't even think about something that is equally important and can take us down just as fast as not keeping kosher, and can be even more detrimental to us. Because you know what? Not a word that we utter down here on earth is not heard in Shemayim by Hashem. So he watches on these things. That is an extremely important one. That's a clue. Is it the most important? I don't know. I don't know. And probably neither do you. So which one do you need to do? You need to do as many as you can that apply to you. Obviously, there's some that don't apply to you. If you're not a farmer, things about agriculture do not apply to you. If you're not a Kohen, things about being a Kohen don't apply to you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You need to do what applies to you. And you need to be scrupulous in this. You need to make sure that you're doing them to the best of your ability. You know something? We don't always do the best, but we can do it to the best of our ability. And with time, we'll get better and better and better. And this is how we get closer to Hashem. Now, I'm going to be doing a series very shortly, and I'll let you know about it when it's on Hitbodedut. A great way to get close to Hashem. When you talk to Him every day and you thank Him for all that you have, and you apologize for all you've done wrong, and you ask Him for guidance and for all the other things you need, either physically or spiritually. It's so important. And once you start doing it, you'll never look at life the same way again, because you'll get a relationship the likes of which you've never even considered in your whole life. So having said that, I want to wish you all a good Shabbos. Everybody have a great week ahead. Remember, the devil's in the details. You got to do the details. Be careful about what you do. Be as scrupulous about the little things as you are about the big things, because you don't know, in fact, which are the little things and which are the big things. Be well, my friends. God bless. All the best and a good Shabbos.